Perfectionism is something that so many of us struggle with, especially as females. I know I do. I know so many of my friends do. And it's to our detriment. It really hurts us. We do not need to be perfect, but it's hard to overcome. So Maria shares all her secrets, all her tips, everything she's learned about perfectionism and how to overcome it in today's beautiful episode. We wanted to reshare this with you guys. We thought it was very poignant and just a good way to start the week. So enjoy, and please share this episode with a friend. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. It means the world to us, and we're so grateful for every single one of you. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better Together, the couch edition. I'm coming off a little allergy from something I ate, so forgive me. Our quote of the day: have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it. Salvador Dali. Heal Squad. We're going to be talking about perfectionism today. We're talking perfectionism because I was inspired by our chat with Lisa when she talked about having to kind of break down perfectionism. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, as you know, if you watch the show, I mentioned that I was starting to realize how much perfectionism has like kind of driven my vehicle, or like ruled my roost, or run the ride.
Run the ride. Yeah, I think that's what you said this week. Run the ride.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, perfectionism runs our ride. And we're not, I don't know, at least for me, like when you guys brought it up, I was like, damn. Like, because I think that there are certain people who are seen as like perfectionists, or we think that. And so we're like, oh, we're not that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you actually are. And so anyways, it definitely runs a lot of our rides.
Yeah. I think that's a main difference between men and women. Men are okay, just kind of like whatevs, because there's no societal norm that they have to deal with where it's like, they're not taught environmentally they have to be perfect. Women are. Mm-hmm. Every Instagram post you see, it's like filters and Facetune and perfect outfits and perfect house and perfect life.
And the guys have, I mean, only saying this from experience, I literally had a friend the other day who I had posted with one of the filters, and then I did one like without it. And I was like, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Like how it alters my face. He literally was like, I don't get the difference. And I was like, oh my God, you guys have no idea.
Yeah.
You have like, that's crazy. And not everyone, not all of them, but that kind of opened my eyes.
Yeah, it's just different for men and women. Like we have to, and we're doing it to ourselves too, but you know, the pressure to be perfect starts, I think, with your family, right? Like my parents, you know, teaching me that I had to be a good girl and, you know, even just think about like the little things. They dress us up, they put the pretty bows in our hair. Everything has to be just right. Everything has to match. Everything, the shoes. I remember the holidays were always like a big deal. Like we had to kind of show up at the church and look really nice. And this one time, like I didn't want to wear a dress was like a big problem with my mom.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think early on there's a lot of that. And then everybody's like, oh my God, you're so pretty, or all the compliments are based on our appearance.
Oh yeah.
They're never like, oh, you're so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Always. Oh, I mean, and not always. I hate saying
always. There are some, but it's much more geared towards appearance.
Correct.
Especially for girls.
Mm-hmm.
And for guys, it's like, oh my God, they're so good at sports, or they're so good at this, or they're just fucking good at everything.
Right.
We're just like, we're just cute.
We're just, pretty.
Yeah. So I think that it kind of builds from there. And then, of course, women on women pressure, right?
Oof. I think that's some of the worst. Like, I mean, I know if you ask a lot of females, right, it's like, who do you dress for? It's not guys, it's girls.
Yes.
And I think that really, like, I don't know, that's I think in the last couple of years with Instagram and stuff been definitely on the rise and really toxic and sad.
Yeah.
And scary.
Kelsey pulled some really good quotes here on perfectionism. So experts define perfectionism as a combination of excessively high personal standards and overly critical self-evaluations. Oh, Toxic perfectionism seems to hit young people really hard. According to estimates, almost 30% of undergraduates experience symptoms of depression, and perfectionism has been widely associated with these symptoms. So these trends have been on the rise over the past few decades, particularly in English-speaking cultures. Curran and Hill studied more than 40,000 American, Canadian, and British college students and found that in 1989 through 2016, oh my God, I just ate a bug. Oh my God. Hey, asshole, get away. Oh, I just killed him on the B of Better Together.
What a show.
He smashed into my lip, bonked off, and I just murdered him. And I don't feel good about it, but I didn't want him to go in my mouth.
You did it. Oh, wow.
Gross.
Wow. The bug doesn't like your talk about perfectionism.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the squished bug.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's your cursor.
Sorry. That kind of does look like a bug.
Okay, anything can happen here. Here we go. So back to the study. So the study of these students found that from 1989 to 2016, the proportion of people who exhibited traits of perfectionism increased drastically up to 33%. And has coincided with cultural changes that serve to exacerbate these feelings. The rising trends were evident in all three types of perfection, but perhaps most concerning was the rise of socially prescribed perfectionism. Young people are seemingly internalizing a preeminent contemporary myth that things, including themselves, should be perfect. Which, hello, is what Instagram's all about. Mm-hmm. So the three types of perfectionism.
Which, did you know this? That there was three types? I know. I was, poor Pooja this morning. I'm like, wow.
I like it. It's interesting. I think it's cool.
I was like, wait.
I know Kelsey's like having these mind-blowing moments.
Truly. Carry on.
So the three types are self-oriented perfectionism. So those who attach irrational importance to being perfect, hold unrealistic expectations of themselves, and are highly critical of themselves. Check. Socially prescribed perfectionism. Those who believe their social circle is excessively demanding, that others judge them harshly, and that they must display perfection to secure approval and avoid rejection. We live in Hollywood. Check.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to say, no, I don't think so. But like, yeah, if I'm going to go to an event, I got to be dressed to the nines. It has to be perfect. Because I'm getting photographed and I'm going to be judged. Mm-hmm. Am I on the best dress list or am I on the worst dress list? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. If we're going to be fair, we got to be honest.
Yep.
Okay. Other-oriented perfectionism. Those who impose unrealistic standards on people around them and evaluate others critically. Check. Yeah. I don't think you can just be one of these things if you have perfectionism in you.
I agree.
Because I know with Kevin, I will be like so mad if we're in the car and neither of us, okay, this is a crazy story. So recently I was driving to AfterBuzz, our network, and I forgot how to get there. I knew if I took a certain road, if I just stayed on that road, I would be there, right? But I wanted to get on the highway. And for the life of me, I could not remember how to get to my own company. And so I called Kevin. I said, honey, how do I get to AfterBuzz? And he told me just to take the road because it's easier, because he couldn't remember either.
No way.
And I go, and then I'm getting mad. I'm like, how the heck do the two of us not know where the building we own is, where the business we run is? What is wrong with us? And I will get so upset because I just think that is insane that we don't know. I think it sounds pretty insane though, too, right?
No. I mean, here's the thing.
Kelsey.
So many, I mean, yes and no, but you also have a lot going on in your brain. And I think so many of us have brain farts like that, where it's like, I feel like half the time I'm driving, especially if like I'm driving to your house, it's a place I go every day. I like black out my whole way there. And I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
You know, so I think that like, especially you who's so busy, you probably like weren't thinking every time you drove there. So when it's like, okay, wait, how do I get here? You're actually thinking about it. It's like, wait, I don't know if I actually know how to get here. Mm-hmm. It's more muscle memory. So I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, so that's why I know I do that. Because
so did you figure it out?
Yeah, eventually. I just got on the highway and I'm like, Marie, you got to figure this out. And then when I got on the highway and I got close, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this exit.
Right.
Because
You're
that's
like,
where I
"You
used
got
to take
this."
guitar.
You said
So-
guitar?
Yeah, because I used to take
Oh,
guitar,
I
right?
wasn't sure if you said, I wasn't sure you said guitar.
No, and then I would take that exit to go to guitar too.
She's going to play us a song.
I
The next
honestly
episode.
don't think I can remember anything right now. But
She'll practice.
But yeah, that's the 3 types of perfectionism. There is some research that shows that small amounts are passed on from generation to generation. However, the biggest differences that they see in perfectionism across individuals can be attributed to social processes. The immediate family environment, like I mentioned this morning, first about, kind of where I think it all starts. So the immediate family environment and the broader social environment that we're brought up in. So it's most prevalent in the U.S.
Yeah.
They see high levels of self-oriented perfectionism in the UK and Canada. Who is this group, by the way, that you got this from?
So I actually took it from 2 different, I cross-checked with 2 different websites. It was Goop and these 2, I think their names are on the top of the statistics.
Medical News Today and Goop. Psychologist Thomas Curran and Andrew Hill.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Pretty crazy.
Socially prescribed perfectionism is the most debilitating of the 3 forms. So that one is the one where your social circle is demanding and you're so afraid of being judged harshly that you have to be perfect to get their approval. And based on their findings on rising perfectionism and the variations we see across countries, this raises important questions about how we're structuring society and whether our society's emphasis on competition and social comparison is benefiting young people. Well, no, I don't think so. Let's see here. Whether it's the number of friends young people have on Facebook, the number of likes they get on Instagram, the number of goals they score in soccer, or their GPA in school, everything is given a metric. This is done to sift, sort, and rank young people in a culture that prizes achievement, image, and merit above everything else. Isn't that funny? I was just looking at Instagram and I saw that some people now have their likes turned off. So you don't know how many likes that picture has gotten, which I think is such a healthy thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes I'll look at a post and be like, why did that fail? How come that didn't do well? Right? Because
Absolutely.
for me, Instagram is a business. I'm using it for my personal reasons too. But if it wasn't tied to my business, I would not do it. And I know that's how most people feel because everyone feels how kind of difficult and toxic it can be.
One, I think you're used to a certain standard, right? So your one post does really well. So when another post doesn't do as well, you've failed. And how crazy is that? That's not, you're not failing.
Yeah.
But you see it like that because like you said, A, it's a business for you. And B, you're just comparing it to another one that did so well. And also you're probably comparing it to other people's who, you maybe think are in your realm. I don't know. I just think that's it's also wild.
I just compare it to other ones that did well. So then it's to me, I can kind of tell what my audience likes and doesn't like.
So that's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, but it's so crazy. Okay, so we tend to see this idea, but I really am going to look into that and might do it.
I think it's great.
I think it'd be such a healthy thing to do. We tend to see this idea of meritocracy. If we strive hard enough, we'll get the rewards and status. If we don't strive hard enough, then our due rewards are to live with less money and benefits. Whoa.
Right.
So what happens when you're a perfectionist? Many studies have identified a link between perfectionism and depression, anxiety, and in the worst case, suicide. I get that. According to the most recent global health estimates, the World Health Organization, serious mental illness such as depression and anxiety afflict a record number of young people. In reflecting on our findings, then, one issue of special relevance is the harm and psychological difficulties that might accompany an increase in perfectionism. We believe that the growth, they say, in perfectionism that we've observed offers the potential to explain some of the heightened prevalence of serious mental illness. At the very least, increases in perfectionism make for a compelling backdrop to these other trends. So if you saw The Social Dilemma, right?
Oh, I forgot we watched that.
So crazy. If you've not
Insane.
seen this, it's on what, Netflix?
Netflix.
I mean, it shows that the people who even created social media won't use social media because they know how unbelievably harmful it is to all of us. So that's
God, I
just
want to watch that
bananas.
again.
Yeah, me too. Well, because but then again, we're not willing to make changes, right? Again, my business is directly linked
I know.
to my social. If I wasn't in that space, I would not be using it.
I know. It's so tough.
Like, I'm so glad Kevin got off of it. And I think he's a much happier human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, much happier. So.
Because someone said something once that I was like, oh, damn. Like, when do you ever feel good getting off Instagram? Ever.
What do you mean?
Like, do you ever feel better after you are scrolling on Instagram for hours? Like,
oh, great question. It was just not put
right.
100% right.
So yeah, like, do you ever feel good?
Yeah, when you're done
crazy.
scrolling on Instagram, how do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel better or worse?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if it affects me that much.
But I feel like you're good at you aren't poking around and looking at other people's stuff really. You'll get on, post something and then get off. You don't really spend time
I'm in and
on
out
there.
only because I don't want to spend a lot of time on there, but also I'm not someone who's really envious of other people. And if I have a moment of envy, I do use it, like we've talked about on the show, as a guide to say, oh, I want a little bit more of that. But I'm not someone who is that affected in that way. Sometimes when people are all on vacations, like over the summer, I was like, I wish I was on vacation.
Totally. Yeah.
That one I think was like bothering me. I was like, everyone's in Italy except for me.
Except for me.
But yeah, I think it's just generally toxic for most people. And I really wish I wasn't on it for so many reasons too. I just think it takes up so much time. And
Oh, it also, what I've noticed recently, because I've tried to be, I'm not really on mine that much.
yeah, you stopped, you said, right?
Yeah, because I was finding it never made me feel good. And it also just like totally would bring my head into a different place. And it would take me like at least 5 or 10 minutes to like regroup and be like, wait, what was I doing? It's not doing anything for me. And mine isn't like yours, right? Mine's not a business. Like I would rather put energy into Better Togethers or, I don't know. So for me, it's like I post stuff if it's, meaningful to me or like I think it would bring a smile to someone's face. But yeah, I stopped just, mindless scrolling because I really try hard not to.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, nah, why?
Yeah. Or like mindless posting too.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's such a strange world where everyone's a supermodel now.
I know. I know.
Everybody's like, look at me and my selfie and I'm my duck lips.
And let me edit this.
And you're like, why? I don't understand.
It's so sad. Honestly, I wish Instagram, I say this often, I wish Instagram was how it used to be when I was in college when it first came out. Man, I was posting pictures of the stupidest, my loaf of bread, my like foot. We posted the most random.
That was like Twitter in the beginning.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, here's my breakfast.
Yeah. Here's a random quote. Like, and we still do that now, but it's just still, it has to be like perfect.
Now it's gotten so perfect.
Yep.
Like so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I even feel the pressure to have a vibe on the page in terms of like a color, right? Motif where just having like happy, normal pictures. Oh no, not enough. Like it has to have its vibe and you've got to use this, vintage filter to make it look cool and have a look that's consistent.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no thanks, but what are you going to do? Any benefits to perfectionism? So let's look at this. The first thing that says, no.
How good was that?
That's awesome. I was really expecting them to say something else. when we turn to perfectionism's ostensibly adaptive qualities, such as meticulousness and diligence, we are often confusing it with useful qualities such as conscientiousness. It's important to differentiate between perfectionism and more desirable traits like conscientiousness, perseverance, and diligence. So, I think that's really important because, perfectionism, it's like, well, I'm going to work harder at making sure that everything is, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But that's diligence, not perfectionism.
Right.
Right? When you're really focused and you're really conscious of what you're doing.
I think perfection just brings like that more negative energy with it, right? You're diligent, like you said, you're focused, you're, on top of it versus like, oh, this has to be perfect. I think you want a different outcome when you're diligent versus when you're striving to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. I would say so.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's definitely an unhealthy level of perfectionism that I have dealt with my whole life.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know how, I think it's a rare person who can do what you or like any celebrity does and you're in the spotlight and like not crumble. I mean, that's why we see the downfall of all these people and all these stars because they are constantly critiqued and judged and shamed and whatever it is. Like, how do you not try and be perfect? And then there really isn't perfect. Like our quote said, perfectionism isn't real. So like, I don't know how you guys stay afloat. I really don't. Like, and so I think you've done an incredible job with like keeping a very good, healthy head on your shoulders. Cause I don't know how I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No way in hell. No way.
Yeah.
When you look back, do you think of like, were there times that cause I feel like you've always been just so like, you have been like light and you didn't really care. Were there times that you were like, you really cared and you had to really work on it?
No, I guess I just don't. I never really was aware of it like I am now. But like it's hard to explain. Like I think I definitely didn't care because I had a lot of confidence. Or enough confidence to not care, right? Like I had a boss who would tell Kevin, like, she doesn't even care. She's got a huge ass and she doesn't even care. Right?
You're like, you're right, I don't.
That wouldn't fly these days, I guess, with people. But like it flew with me and it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
He was, we were friends. But that was like before big asses were like cool. But like I didn't care. I was like, this is who I am. It is what it is. So it's a strange thing. Because I think that's where polarity comes into play, right? Like you can be both things. And like Deepak says, we're a lot of different things. So yeah, sometimes, so I guess like there were elements in which I was confident I didn't care. And then there were elements where I wasn't confident and I did care. And trying to make sense of that is really hard. But I know that with Brian and my work with Brian Mahan, who we've had on the show, the somatic expression expert, I'm trying to unwind some of this stuff so that it's not ruling my roost, right? Like Kevin's always like, Maria, it doesn't all have to be an A+. B- are just fine.
Totally.
But who tells you that in life, right?
one.
Your parents are telling you got to get the A+, or at least the A. They see a B- and they look at the report card and they go, why?
Yep.
What happened here?
Yep.
Right? So we're trained to only look at metrics.
Oh, yeah.
And so, or like I remember when I went to the Miss Teen USA pageant, this is kind of a silly example, but it's actually real. I remember I was a little thicker than most girls. Or as Snoop said, I was thicker than a Snicker.
Thank you, Snoop.
Thank you, Snoop. And so I remember going to Miss Teen USA and I was just like eating up a storm before, like no big deal. Whereas most girls are like, really following a rigid diet because they're going to go compete in swimsuit competition. And I was like, oh, they're going to like me for me. Not thinking about the fine kind of details of this where the the scores are like an accumulation, right? So like one score in one category, if it's low, is going to knock you down, not make you get into the top 12, where then you are maybe going to have that chance to shine and they'll pick you over just your swimsuit scores, right? Because at some point, once you make it, you compete in the next level of swimsuit and then that's over with. It's just who you are. But, and how well you do in the interview portion. So I remember thinking, oh, they're going to like me for me. I don't care about dieting. I'm not going to diet. And then we get to the Miss Teen USA competition and they have these comfort suites on every floor.
Ooh.
So you could go in and get candy and chips and all this stuff. And I had grown up poor and deprived of all that stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And I like corrupted so many girls. I'm like, let's go to the suite. And we'd go to the suite and we'd eat everything. And then they wanted to kill me later. And some took a, different path before the show started. That was kind of shocking to me, where I was like, whoa, this really happens. Okay. And yeah, they might have liked me, but I didn't make top 12. I tied, I think it was for 13 because my swimsuit competition scores were so low.
That that makes me angry.
Why?
That's like still a thing. Like that they judge based off of swimsuit scores.
Well, it's a part of it, right? It's like interviews, swimsuit, evening gown.
But it still makes me angry.
Yeah, but that's just what it is, and that's what you sign up for.
Yeah, I just think that that's so sad.
Like Miss America got rid of it.
Yeah, I remember that recently, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I think is probably a good thing, because like, why do we have to look good and perfect in our swimsuits? Like,
well, right, that's
I don't look
saying.
perfect in my swimsuit now. You're going to see cellulite. Like, I'm walking around in these shorts. Do you know how much unperfecting I had to like do, or deperfectionisming me? I'm creating a word.
I love that.
To walk around with shorts that are a little shorter than I'm usually comfortable with, where I'm like, oh, you can see a little cellulite here, you see a little cellulite there. But now I'm like, no, you have to get past this shit. It doesn't matter. And someday you're going to wish you wore those, because you're going to look worse later. Like, shit's only going to keep going south. Do you know how many people look back now at their photos when they were younger and they're saying, why did I hate my body so much? It looked so good.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like, here's my thing. Who defines what's perfect?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, think about this. So the good thing about social media, I think, is it started to give celebrities the power to have their own platform, their own followers, their own voice.
Yeah.
So it was something that we were watching when I was hosting E! News. It's like, they didn't really need to come to us at E! News anymore, because they could release something on their Instagram. Hey, guess what, guys? I have a new show coming out. To their 3 million to 20 million to 50 million people. Why did they need to come do an interview with us when we were getting like maybe 1 million people watching? Anyway, and what that's done is it's given people more and more power. So now there's so many new standards, or so many like glass ceilings that have been broken, or however you want to put it. This is one of the observations I had recently with Kevin. No longer, because of the new movements in body positivity, no longer will you see a magazine do the whole 40 stars with cellulite on the cover.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst.
Do you know how terrified we all were to get snapped the wrong way and end up in those magazines?
I could only imagine.
And so, and me, even with like my kind of like, I don't care level, you still didn't want to be in there. No. It wasn't like, oh, this is, the thing to do. So now that doesn't happen anymore, because all of these magazines are terrified to get the backlash of that.
Well, I remember, I think it was recently that one of those magazines, maybe last year, whatever, had posted something about Julianne Hough that wasn't like, she didn't give them the rights to, and she went off on her Instagram, and I remember they had to apologize. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was some body thing, and she was like, by the way, I never said this. And it went like viral on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
And they had to be like, yeah, okay, sorry. So I love that. I'm like, yeah, get out of here.
So
get out of here, Stellar.
It's not like it's all bad, but
yeah,
that's something that's been good. So some things we can do to help manage perfectionism. I think wear those short shorts anyway. What?
Dang right.
Understand that failure is not weakness. Practice self-compassion. Redefine your goals. Ooh, I like that one.
I like that one too.
Know that done is better than perfect. And that's what Kevin always says. So for me, even like with this show, I had to be perfect. I got to do this. He's like, Maria, just go. Just chill. Just sit on the couch. Relax. B- is fine. You're fine. I'm like, no, but I have to make sure I give takeaway. It has to be perfect. And so I'm now, it's not that I'm like lowering my standards, is I'm actually being self-compassionate.
Right.
And giving of myself without taking from myself.
Can I tell you my perfectionism thing that I'm still traumatized by growing up?
Please.
Standardized testing.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. I was always, you're stupid because you couldn't like get a high enough score on this standardized test or this or that. All the stupid kids went to the state colleges instead
Kelsey.
of, I'm dead serious.
Oh my God, you were one of the stupid kids.
I was one of the stupid ones, but I don't think I'm stupid. I think I'm very smart.
I think you are too.
Thank you. But yeah, that was always it. It was
really funny. All stupid kids went to, what did you call
to
it?
the state schools, to Washington State instead of University of Washington. And
you're so funny.
No, I'm serious. This is what happened. This is what they would tell us.
Wow.
Yes. And
meanwhile, I'll tell you guys, I think it was Steven who, Steven, he can be,
Steven.
He can be Steven. And he was like, Kelsey picked up the tech at AfterBuzz faster than anybody we've ever had. Am I crazy? It was you he said that about, right?
That's right.
That's right. Okay.
I think he was in here. I know,
so
because we were like,
stupid.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm like, those standardized tests, like, because they told us this was the only way to level or to like measure, like, if you're intellectual. And I was like, that's baloney, because I could talk any of your heads off better than anyone in this room. So
you can talk somebody's head off. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Sorry, I can't figure out this math problem, but or fast enough for you because you're putting a lot of pressure on me. Anyways.
Pythagorean theorem. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Not a chance. Not a chance. But yeah, that's where I'm like still traumatized.
5 squared.
Well, you ask me what that shape is?
No, what's 5 squared?
Oh, literally 5 squared. What is it?
Pooja, you can't tell
25.
her. Yeah.
Thank you. I can do 5 times 5. There you go. Anyways, Pooch, do you have any traumatizing memories of perfectionism?
Yeah, I was going to say standardized testing too. It's crazy because we start in like 4th grade. Like,
it's so rude.
Yeah,
I know.
it's rude. It is rude.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, who did well on like their state tests because like.
Everyone's bragging.
Yeah, or like these kids like.
Go to highly capable.
Right. Or it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like even I remember it was like if I didn't do well on this test in 5th grade, I wasn't going to get placed in the high math in 6th grade. And then when I was in 8th grade, I would not be placed in the math to get high or the high math for 9th grade. Like crazy stuff. Like I was thinking, well, my school, I guess, my grade, whatever. My environment was like training us to think about high school and college in 5th grade. That's crazy. Like if I wasn't doing well on the standardized test, then I wouldn't be in the accelerated whatever, and then I wouldn't be like going to a good college. It was really wild. And I was like,
insane.
Luckily my parents were not like that. They're like, please relax. You're literally 10.
Mine.
Like
Same with mine.
you're not.
Did they really? Because your parents are immigrants, right?
They are, yeah. But I don't know. They're just pretty,
and they're doctors, so I'm surprised.
Yeah,
to hear that they weren't pressuring you to be like super A student.
I mean, we definitely had expectations. It wasn't like slack off and you can't do well. Like they expected certain grades, but their whole thing was if they see that we're trying our best, then they were okay with it. They were only mad when they were like, "You're clearly not trying. You're slacking off." Like. If we're getting, you're going to tutoring, whatever it is, and if we're going to pay for it and you're not going to use it, like then we're upset because you're wasting our money and our time and someone else's time. That's when they'd be upset. But if they saw that we were trying our best and like math just wasn't my thing, then math wasn't your thing. But yeah.
Math was just a harder thing.
A harder thing, exactly.
I had a tutor for math too.
Yeah, math. So crazy. I even talk about, like, my school is just kind of crazy. I think, like, I took geometry in 8th grade, and that was like a 10th grade class for most people.
No, ma'am.
Like, but that was like half my grade was in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't an unusual, crazy thing. So
Wow.
it might have just been my East Coast environment. I know it's a little different than other places. It's a little fast paced, a little bit more academically driven and focused.
I was really good at English.
I can
That
see
was my strong suit.
I love that.
Yeah.
And now you write rundowns, and now
There
you
you
do
go.
blogs.
Yeah.
So
Standardized testing. No thanks.
no.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I was always like 2 years behind everybody in standardized testing and reading and comprehension because I didn't speak English going to school. So that was really hard. I was always playing catch up. But if I didn't have that, well, because like, and I always have felt in life that I was always behind everyone and having to work 10 times harder. And that's definitely a theme in my life, right? As you see, I'm generally working 10 times harder, just always.
Yeah. Do you think it comes from that? Stems from that?
Probably. But then also, I think I had, I had different influences, like my dad, watching my dad work as hard as he did. And my mom, I just learned that that's like life is just working really, really hard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely always having to like catch up. And then I was like really good. Like I was always on I was on honor roll. And if I wasn't, it was only because of math. So I got straight A's and everything else. And then I was in like advanced classes. But I remember kind of like purposely tanking all of that so that I could just be in classes with Alyssa. 'Cause I was I was scared and I didn't want to be alone. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So yeah, it's funny how all of this kind of works. It's like it could motivate you to like be your best and get to your highest, because if you're not pushed sometimes, you won't, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a little bit of fear, right? I would think there's a healthy level of fear that's important
I agree.
to keep you in check. Otherwise, we'd all be lazy asses. And, you know, what would really truly motivate us, right?
Yeah.
So I think a healthy amount of fear is good. But, you know, for me, it was funny. Like, I didn't care about SATs or any of that. I was like, none of this matters where I'm going and what I'm going to do.
See,
I just
love
had
that.
such a clear vision of it. I didn't know what was going to happen, though.
Yeah.
But I knew.
That's so interesting, though.
I innately knew.
Yeah.
I didn't have to stress about that. So.
See, I think for me, like you're saying, just like going exactly off what you're saying, like and in the long run, mine is being traumatized initially by it. In the long run, I think it like served me well, because like when I graduated like summa cum laude or whatever the shit that is, that you like are in the top percentage of like your college class.
Good you.
Thank you. And everyone was like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. But I loved school and I loved doing well. So I think it pushed me to be like, yeah, okay, everyone, I'm actually smart and I really enjoy this. But I was doing it for myself. Like I didn't do that for anyone else. So I think that that's where the healthy level comes in, right? You can't be doing it for anyone else. So I don't know. But perfectionism isn't healthy, according to these people.
Yeah, it's really stupid. I don't know why why they train us to think that, right? Because it's absolutely so dumb, so exhausting, so not worth it. And that's why I love like the Alicia Keys
She's awesome.
who just like are like, yeah, you know what? The Voice, I'm going to do no makeup because it's just exhausting and it's so much work and so much time and so much stress. No makeup. And that's it. I just love the renegades. Like I'm applauding them from my perfectionist chair. Thank you.
I think it goes back to what you're saying. They're so confident. Like,
Or no, by the way, maybe not, but they're doing it anyway.
true.
Right? Like I always
True.
say, like people are like, you're so brave. And I'm like, no, I just push through anyway.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. Like people will be so surprised that my version of walking into a room and your version of seeing me walk into a room, totally different.
Right.
Like when I went to that event in Napa, Lisa Billio was telling me, she goes, girl, I can't believe you, my horrible accent, girl, I can't believe you were scared. And I'm like, I was shitting my pants walking into that room, terrified. So like the first day at school kind of thing. New kid on the block. And she goes, you would never have known. And I go, but I was. And they're like, you walked in with so much like confidence and flair. And I'm like, I did. So you just never know. We just do it anyway. And that's what separates everybody, right? It's like, you got to push through anyway.
Great point.
All right. Well, that is it for us today. I hope you now know why perfectionism is stupid. Kelsey isn't stupid. Perfectionism is stupid. Kelsey's wicked smart, as we would say in Boston. And I hope this week was enlightening and fun for you. And as always, thank you guys. And share the show with your friends who all need to hear this as well, because perfectionism is crippling and we need to eradicate it. We got to nuke it. And so it's a process, but even just talking about it and identifying it and even knowing about the 3 different types is really helpful. So if you do not make money on Instagram, it's not your business, really consider getting rid of it. Consider getting rid of it. TikTok right now is still pure. It's fun. It's light. It's just pure fun. So maybe if you want to still feel like you're engaged with your friends and stuff, maybe you choose a platform like that.
I would agree with you.
So a little something to think about. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.